I've mentioned in other interviews that I always wanted to be a member of Congress, a U.S. congressman, from about 14, 15 years old. And even in college, I studied and read and prepared as if I was going to run for Congress someday, period. I didn't want to be governor or president or anything like that. Ambassador was something that I really had thought about as well, because I liked foreign affairs. But I had no interest in being in the state legislature, even though those are important positions. And I wanted to be a congressman from where I grew up. And so when I worked for Frank Kelly and Sandy Levin, I stayed in touch and got to know a lot of people in the area where I'd grown up, Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge, Royal Oak, that area. And as luck would have it, the congressional districts got reapportioned in 1972. So all of a sudden, my home area was in a district that could and should be won by a Democrat. And so I said, that's where I'm going to run there. Now, I didn't realize I was going to be able to run right away. I thought I would run there someday. But the Democrat who ran that year in this new district, Dan Cooper, who was a very fine state senator, lost to Robert Huber. He lost because it was a terrible year for Democrats. McGovern was on the ballot. He was getting shellacked. Busing was the big issue. And Republicans and Richard Nixon wiped everybody out. And that night, that very night when I saw that Dan Cooper had lost, and I didn't think he should have lost to Huber, I decided to run. That very night, 2 years. But I had to plan my campaign secretly because people would have thought it was preposterous for me, having just returned to that area. I was still an assistant AG, but I'd moved to the Detroit office. Having returned to that area, it was preposterous that I would all of a sudden want to run for Congress 2 years later, having been gone to college and law school. On the other hand, having worked with Frank Kelly, having stayed in touch with people really helped me. So I began planning my campaign and assembling the best young talent in Michigan, which I'd learned by working with Kelly and with Edmund Muskie, with Sandy Levin and others. And so I quietly planned this campaign. Didn't surface till quite late. It was probably the best campaign I've ever run, the best focused, the best organized. And of course, it turned out to be a great year, the Watergate year. So I was able to unseat Robert Huber. But the team we had was fabulous. And we took a flyer and did it. And now I look back, I say, what was I thinking? You know, everybody said, don't you want to start at something a little lower, like Pleasant Ridge City Council or state rep? I said to myself, no, I want to be a congressman. This is it. It's timing. It's everything. This is the time. I want to go to Congress. I want to help reform the House of Representatives. By the way, it needs reforming now again with all the money that's awash there. Yeah, it was, and so to win that election, win the primary was tough primary, and the general election was the most exciting political moment in my life, without a doubt. Nothing will compare.